Sharon, and hi, Miss Queen. Oh my gosh. Okay, so tonight's amazing. We've got Drone Diva and we've got Drone Queen.
Hi, everyone. How are you?
Hi, Queen. Queen, I got dressed for the occasion. Look at me.
I see that.
With my lippy and everything for the Drone Diva. And now we're graced with your presence too. There you go.
How feel a little underdressed.
It's so cold. It's a good excuse to just get out all the beautiful jackets. Okay, so let's welcome Kelly and then we'll kick off our show. Hi, Miss Kelly. Okay, so welcome everybody to this week's Fireside Chat, our Women in Drones Africa weekly, friendly, chilled, but energetic chat. And I have the privilege tonight, tonight our time, of welcoming the Drone Diva Desi Ekstein, who is a very special guest, not only because she is super qualified, and I'm going to read some of her credentials now as her intro, but also Desi is one of the kind of founders of the Women in Drones Coffee Connections. I think you guys started that during lockdown, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right?
Yes. It's been a year.
Right. Okay. So there's going to be a celebration, I'm sure. And that's kind of probably where the format of the Fireside Chat was born, or the idea of it anyway. But let me introduce Desi. So Desi is an FAA certified remote pilot, an FAA STEAM representative, an educator, a journalist. She has a company called On The Go Video, which is a service provider and educator for the UAS industry. And she's been doing that for a number of years, I think since 2015, if I remember. And that her company provides training, consulting, safety education, and besides being known as the Drone Diva, the serious part is really the education, the training, the safety. She's an FAA certified 107 remote pilot in command. And you're also an adjunct educator, and the list goes on. And Desi, I never do this justice, and if there's anything key that I missed, please fill it in. But without further ado, the floor is yours tonight.
Okay, well, actually, I'm honored. Wow, what an introduction. I'm excited to be here. And actually, one of the things that is so exciting to me is the Fireside Chat and getting to meet people. And when this all started, the connections that I've made, I realize this is a business networking and type of platform, but I feel like they're friends. I feel like this is like I'm building friendships across the world, and it's super exciting to me. So I really do appreciate that you've invited me to be a presenter today. I'm pretty excited. So today we're actually going to share a different side of me. And so I do have a presentation. And so if you have me set, I can do a screen share.
Right, let me just, I thought I had done that, but there you go. You are good to go, Desi.
All right, so I'll bring up my slides. Voila, there I am. That's me. Pretty much everything that was just said. I can't believe the introduction that you gave. So thank you. And also I want to make a quick note that thank you for getting so dressed up in a diva style. I love it. Right?
I thought I'd just bring a bit of fun.
Had I known, I would have dressed better myself.
No need, no need.
So this is me. This is pretty much what Kim introduced me as. I started a company, On the Go Video. I'm the founder. I've been in business for a while now and building every day in this industry, as everybody does. I think when you get into it, you go, wow, there's so much more. I am a lead fast team representative in San Diego. I'm also what they would say a FAA drone pro. And that just says that I've been in the industry for quite a while and have wanted to reach out to others to share. AUBSI level 3 instructor and pilot, because safety is huge with me. I achieved that level 3, so I'm pretty excited about that. And my daily job, I go to TCI Maricosta College, where I'm a UAS instructor, and I am a Women in Drone Safety Advisor and an ambassador. So that's me in a nutshell. Moving forward a little bit here, that's the commercial side of me. Just as I was getting started, I'm going to move my screen here out of the way. I actually started flying like a lot of people do, with the flying camera in a whole different perspective, right? So in 2014, I made the most incredible home movies. Everybody wanted to see them because of that higher perspective. Right about that time, the FAA caught wind of, wow, these drones are really taking over the skies. We better do something. And they put into this regulation called a 333 exemption. Me being all about safety in all aspects of my life, I said, well, I guess I better go out and get that exemption. And I did. And you had to be a private pilot. I didn't. And so I went through the approach of lighter than air. So I started the training with becoming a hot air balloon, and it didn't go so well. So I was really excited when what the FAA says is the Part 107, and that's what we are, pilots in command. And so I was all over that. When it came along, I was like, okay, now I can run my business, and the doors just really opened up. I have a passion for helping others. So I started doing, reaching out to people that were just learning how to fly. And I did private lessons and were, can you see my presentation? Yes. Okay. Because something just popped. Okay, yep. Something just popped up, and I was like, can you see it? So, okay. So I started helping people just on a private level, just doing lessons, and the doors opened up for a STEM education program called Girls Take Flight. It's an amazing program. It's youth that are in a situation that would not normally have an opportunity to fly, get the 107 training, and a stipend that would allow them to buy a drone and start a career. And so it's a really amazing program. And I started that, which then led over to the college, where I'm the UAS instructor for the college. And the program for the college is underwater and aerial, and I'm the aerial instructor. And so it's pretty exciting. What I want to actually share, that's not enough. Doing that every day, I have to go do more, right? So what I want to share is actually what we do recreationally. So this is super cool because I get to do it with my family. And if you see some of the pictures here, my husband, his name is Ken, and he is a gold digger. That's why he married me. Just kidding. Just kidding. So no, he's considered a prospector. And so he has a couple claims. We've always been involved with the old mining history and such like that. And so we tend to go out and explore all these mining operations. So the pictures that you're seeing here is actually me on my motorcycle, and that's an off-road. I ride on the dirt and on the street. I have a street license as well. And then the next one down is my quad, because sometimes it's just a little too rugged. And so I have a quad that I take. And if you notice that backpack on the back of the picture on the lower left-hand side, that's my Inspire 2 in a backpack. It's ready to head out onto the field. So we will actually just pack up and go out and start exploring these locations. And that's what we do for fun. Well, it kind of led us down to, there's a lot of history here that needs to be preserved. And that's what I want to share. Some of the ways that we are using this modern technology and combine the two. So as I grew up kind of out in the deserts, riding in the desert, there's one example that is a perfect example of what we're doing and why. And before I tell you that story, I want to also mention to Kim, can you keep me on track for time? Because this really is my passion and I know I can blab on, okay?
I feel you. I feel you. Okay, I will do.
Okay. So as I was growing up, there's a mining operation that's out in the desert and we would go to it and it was pristine. It had a closed off door where inside the mountain, it had these boxes of the core samples. They were tagged, they were perfect, outlined. And then on the outside was the hopper. And over time, the hopper, through wind and weather, it started to deteriorate and pieces were removed, got vandalized. And then even the perfect core samples that were inside the building were destroyed and it was vandalized. It's from people that would just be destructive and they were using it for shooting targets and it breaks my heart when I see the destruction. And I was like, nobody that goes there now knows how awesome it used to be. And then I understand, the weather is going to be taking things away, parts would fall off or the wood would rot. And so in my eyes, I remember what it used to be. But now I look at it and I go, you will never know. So it needs to be documented. It needs to be seen over time. And there's people that would never even get to go there. And so by documenting this over time, it will be preserved forever. So this particular one is just a photo of a place that is now being restored. And it's one that we had found out there. So this is like going to be our future goal of what one we want to see being renovated through time. So, of course, being safety, right? Got to go down the safety row. We have to take other considerations, right? The first thing that I have to do when I'm thinking about going out and doing this is my mission planning, because this is a aerial view from Sky Vector, and where I typically fly, it would be considered BLM, and it's government land. And there are restrictions. There are some areas that we can't fly. And then I don't know if you remember last week, we had Debbie talking about wildlife and such like that. So I go right here to this website and bring up the area that I'm going to be flying in. And I look at the federal, state, and city considerations. I look at, is it a MOA? A lot of times I'm right by a military operating area. Is there wildlife? So those type of things, I right out the gate, I start looking for those. Is this an area I can fly in? I always want to share a message to tread lightly. We're in a situation where we're out in, even if it's not a wildlife area, it's still an area that needs to be preserved. So I always say tread lightly. And then because of the harshness of where I am, I have to definitely consider the PPE, my personal protection equipment. Not only do I need plenty of water and that type of stuff, but it's cold or hot, and snakes. I really have to watch out for snakes. There are snakes there. So PPE is really important. So one of the stories that I want to share is about Corn Springs Cabin. This is a perfect example where this is a mining operation. All the miners had came to this location. There's a natural spring in the area. So it was an opportunity for all the miners of the past to come to this location. And this gentleman, his name is Gus Lederer, and he was the builder of this area, and the miners would come here, and he proclaimed himself to be the mayor of Corn Springs. Well, in that building, in the short amount of time that I've been going there, we went out, we did a model of it. I flew it with a Mavic 2 Pro. I did a double grid over the top. I did orbits around the side. And then in Pix 4D, I went in and merged the two files and created a 3D model. So I have pictures from the past when I went, and now I have pictures and a model for when I have gone out recently. And there's been some slight changes, mostly due to weather. And so it's a part of the history for the area that I feel needs to be preserved. Sometimes some of the information isn't there any longer. And now I actually have a 3D model of what it looked like. So another place, this is kind of a positive story, I think. It's called Hotel California. I tried like heck to get the Eagles music to go to it, but there's some copyright issues, right? So when we went there back in 2018, there was a book with all the information in there, and it told some of the history of this little place right here. It's just a little rock building built into the side of the house, or the side of the mountain. And when we went back there in 2020, that information is gone, and there is no history as far as being able to look back at the paperwork or anything. But the cool thing is you can see people are trying to restore it. And so if you look at the 2018, you can see there's no wall. But 2020, they're trying to restore it, and there's a lot of information in there trying to preserve it as well, and people are trying to document it from here forward. So that's a good story. That's where people are trying to do good things with it. Most of the flights I do have to be done by manual. I can do a pre-planned flight, but typically there's no internet when I get there, and they're so crammed up, like this one up against the side of a mountain. It's just more difficult to do pre-planned flights. So I fly it manually, and that's what I did on this one. And then on this one, I actually, in my 3D model, I also took an Insta360 camera. And so you can click and see, it's not big inside, but you can click and see inside it as well, and kind of get a 3D view of that as well. So this is one of my fun stories that we stumbled across as seen from the air. You know, you just don't realize what you're seeing. And then you go, wow, what's this all about, right? So this is Hazel Stiles. This elderly lady passed away in 2012, happened to be in the air, and wow, look what we see. This person was out there. This is about over an acre that she's actually gone out there, and she, with the rocks, has been writing all this verbiage in a mushroom shape out there. And you can see that the larger words, God bless America and all that, those were actually elevated and with bigger rocks and things like that. Whereas as you get down to the bottom of the mushroom, it's more smaller, tinier rocks, and weather has started to really diminish that area. So it's another one, wow, you don't realize what you're going to see until you get in the air, and preserving it. Her family had no idea she was even out there doing this. And so once she passed, they were like, what? I don't know if you can actually see, but in the upper part of the photograph, there's a little tip of a building up there. That's where she lived. And so you get the perspective of the size of what she was doing. So when you're just driving down the road, you don't even see it. This one particular, I flew it with the Inspire 2. I mapped it, did not come out. There's just not enough depth to this, but I got a great ortho mosaic. So, but it's not good unless you have enough depth to make a 3D model out of it. So this particular story is near Wickenburg. I love Wickenburg. My husband and I, we packed up our gear, jumped on the motorcycles, and we were heading across the desert of Wickenburg, Arizona. And it's about 25 miles into the desert, and we were going to this mining area. And when we got there, we found out it was closed due to COVID. So apparently even the ghosts from a ghost town didn't want to catch the COVID. So turned out okay, because from there, we actually jumped up onto the highway. We're coming down from Yarnell and came across this place. And this is formerly known as Congress Junction. Kenny and I have radios in our helmets. And so as we're traveling down the road, I see this place on the right-hand side and I'm like, Kenny, stop, go back, it's awesome. The gentleman was so nice. He said, yes, come on in and fly, take pictures, do whatever you want. So as we were getting ready to leave, he goes, hey, did you get the church at the end? And I was like, no. And so he said, yeah, go down there. And I made a 3D model that I'm going to share with you when we're done, of the church that he was restoring at that time. And it's a perfect example of how you can use drones, the new technology, and doing the 3D modeling and documenting the history of what's happening. And so I was able to do that one. I had the Mavic 2 Pro with me again. All the projects that I usually do when they're out there in the mining areas are relatively small. So this one was only about 400 images. And I did a lot of point cloud cleanup in Pix 4D. And then I put the model into Sketchfab, which is what I want to share with you when the presentation is over. And the Desert Queen. This is perfect for today, isn't it? All us divas and queens here today. Yeah. So this one is one that we traveled to quite a bit, and it actually came up as an available location to settle or put a claim in, which is what my husband does when he finds a mining area that he wants to mine. He'll put in a claim. Well, this one came up and I'm like, oh, who doesn't want the Desert Queen, right? It's so fun. Well, by the time we went through the paperwork and all that, it was already claimed up by somebody. But I wanted to share this because it's still near dear to my heart. The picture on the left is our selfie, right? You can see it. Behind us is where the tunnels start to go in. There's one that actually goes down. So you really have to tread very carefully around there. But that whole hillside, you can see the concrete behind. The whole hillside is filled with tunnels. And you can come through the top sides and see them. You can go through it. It's huge once you actually get in there. The picture that's on the right is my 3D model. That's an image that I had created from the 3D model. Back in 1942, they were pulling out gold, silver, and copper from the Desert Queen. And so it's a pretty popular place. It's there in Vicksburg, Arizona. A lot of the mining areas that we do are in Arizona area. And moving forward, this is the most recent one we've done. So obviously being out in the desert, there's only seasonal stuff that we can do. So right now being in the desert heat, this was the last one that I could do because it's now going to get way too hot out there. And so the last one that we did was called McGuffie Cabin. And the picture on the left is a picture of my 3D render. That is not an aerial shot of that location. And the pictures on the right are zoomed in from those various locations. So on this particular one, I want to point out that I used a program called Drone Deploy and threw the pictures into Drone Deploy and processed and went through that particular software. And if you notice, I can put in when I'm doing, some people are very familiar with mapping and I know some people are not. So I want to kind of share a little bit about it. When you're processing, you can put in a processing area, and programs like Pix4D will let you export that processing area. Well, I found that I can put in a processing area in my Drone Deploy, but when I export, it just brings in everything as far as a 3D model. It's different with orthomosaics, I believe, but the 3D model just brought in everything. So that's why I was like, okay, well, we need to just zoom in and see the quality and the detail of what Pix4D can offer, or Drone Deploy can offer. So wrap it up, because I think I'm doing good on my 30 minutes here, right? All right. I want to wrap it up with fun facts, right? So I'm in California, and we all have heard about the California Gold Rush, right? So that actually began in 1848. And there's a place up north from me that's called Sutter's Mill. Kenny and I have actually toured through it a few times, and it's a very, very large mining operation. And so that particular mining operation, it extracted more than 750,000 pounds of gold. So putting that into perspective, that's 11 million troy ounces. So they measure gold by troy ounces. And so when we're talking about, the price of gold and why is there such a big hoopla about gold, I put a few facts in here for us. So we have in 1850, the price per ounce was $18.93. And you think about it, back then in 1850, that's a lot. And then 1950, now we're at 34 and some change. And then in the year 2000, price per ounce was $279.11 per ounce. So this particular PowerPoint I've shared in another presentation, and I was stoked when I went, wow, back March 24th, 2021, price per ounce was $1,700. It was $1,740.21. That's huge. Well, I thought, okay, well, I better get some current data, right? I checked it yesterday, per ounce, $1,912.49 per ounce. That is why gold is in such demand. So I thought I'd put on here, I told you at the beginning, right? Kenny and I have a claim. He goes out, he's a prospector. So today he has a whopping 10 grams. Now let's compare that. There's 31 grams in the troy ounce. Clearly we're not getting rich from this, but he's having fun. So, yeah, but it's still good. It's fun, right? So I would like to share maybe some of the 3D things I did. Looks like maybe there's a couple things that are popping up in the chat. And so we can address those if you'd like. What would you like to do, Kim? I'd like to share a couple of my 3D models also.
I would love for you to do that. Queen needs to dash, but she just said, beautiful presentation indeed. Wow. Unfortunately, I have another meeting. I wanted to ask about STEM programs, especially the pink drone. Ha ha ha.
Yes, we have to put clothes on all our drones, right? So yeah, we put a skin on it. And then the STEM program is Do you want to get into that right now?
Yeah, well, let's do it. I think is Queen still on, or maybe she did
Yes,
drop off.
yes.
Oh no, she's still on. Yeah. Do you want to
Yeah,
just
let me ask
talk
you,
about
thank
that
you
quick?
so much. Wow, the pictures and yeah, yo, it's beautiful work they see there. And I want to understand. I wanted to ask you, because you see that the market is mushrooming because of these much needed STEM programs. But what makes you outstanding? What's that you are offered to the market that sustains your program? And of course, I wanted to ask you about the pink one. How did you make it pink? Yeah, those were my two questions, but well done. Oh, interesting history and journey. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll start with the short answer, which would be I made it pink because there's a couple of websites out there. Drone Decal Girl is one of them, and you can order what they call skins for the drones. So you can turn it whatever color you want. They have wild prints, they have all kinds of different varieties that you can choose. And you can do your drone, you can do your controller. If you're FPV, you can do your goggles, you can do all kinds of stuff and a whole bunch of different designs. So that's where I recommend going for that. It's kind of fun, makes it more personal, right? So, and then the STEM program that I am just the educator for it. And so I do the drone operations. It's called Girls Take Flight, and it's based in San Diego. It's done through a program up there, Elementary Institute of Science. And it is a 22-week program where the young ladies will come in and learn 107. They learn to fly the drone. They have an opportunity to learn some skill sets such as the video editing and such like that. And once they've completed it, this is the most powerful part. Once they've completed it, if they've actually even gotten their 107 through the program, they receive a stipend of $2,200. So with that stipend, several of the young ladies have chose to buy a drone and have it as a career, as they're going through and getting their college degree. And some have actually applied it to their college that they're going to. And so they can use it however they want, but there's certain parts of it. If they've, completed the course, they get this much. If they get their 107, they get this much. And so, and because of the generous people that have contributed to the program, there's several companies that are there in San Diego that are just strong supporters, and we just thank them so much. They've allowed the stipend to actually increase over time. So that's pretty cool in that respect. And like I said, it's a situation where the young ladies would not normally have opportunities like this. It's not just one school, it's pulled in from a bunch of different locations. So, and they get to build, I'm going to go on, and they get to build relationships with each other, and they do a final presentation where they're sharing and giving back to the community. So it's a pretty powerful program, and I'm really blessed to be a part of it.
Wow, amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing this beautiful and wonderful insight. I love your 3D model photos. They're outstanding. Wow. And I've loved the process.
Thank you. Well, I'm glad you were here. Thank you.
Yes, I had to come. I was missing you girls.
Good, we missed you too.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Kim and everyone. Good night.
Thanks, Queen. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Desi, thanks for covering that. I did put the links for Decal Girl and Girls Take Flight in the chat. You might just want to see whether they are the correct ones. I'm sure they are, but you can just have a quick look.
That does look right.
Perfect. Okay, cool. So and we have a message from Sharon Chung. Hi, everyone. Pleasure to be here. Hi, Sharon. Welcome.
Sharon.
So, Desi, show us your 3D model.
Okay. So I have two of them here that I brought up that I can show you. So remember the Corn Springs cabin? That was the first one with the self-proclaimed miner, right? And so I did the map of this one. And if you're not familiar with Sketchfab, that's the program I use. It's simple and easy to use. So once I've created my model through Pix4D or whatever program, I can actually put this model into a program, the Sketchfab. And then I've shared it with others, like I'm part of communities like Preserving History, Preserving California, Preserving Arizona. And so now I can share it. And no, they're not glamorous. This doesn't look glamorous diva type, right? But the changes have been documented and recorded. And so just in the short amount of time that I have been going to this model here, obviously there's been a lot of destruction up here, and it's weather. It's just the elements, being out there in the elements. And so this building has been getting deteriorated. And so I feel very fortunate that I've been able to go out there and actually document, here's what it looked like at this time in life. And now I can even share it. I've put it onto the websites, and people that would not be able to travel out there can do that. They can see it now. They actually get the details of it. And I'm pretty excited because look at the detail in here. You can actually see the wood grain and everything. And so, so this one is the Corn Springs cabin. And then the other one is the Congress Junction that I was sharing with you. And so this is when we went out and did the Congress Junction. And like I said, I was doing grids. I did a double grid over the top, and then I did the orbits. And then I merged the two files through Pix4D. And I don't know, I know a lot of people use Pix4D, so I'm not sure how familiar everybody is, or if this is a normal process for some people. But the fact that now this part of history has been documented and recorded, moving forward, there's something substantial that has been recorded and used as a base. And this is what it was like at this point. And hopefully it'll all get better, but sometimes things get weathered and don't. But there was always a point in history that has been recorded. And so I thank you very much. I'm going to stop sharing. I thank you for letting me share my story.
Desi, that was amazing. You mentioned a church. You were going to show us a church.
That was the church.
Oh, that was the church. Okay.
That was the church. Yep.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So brilliant. Thank you so much. We have a question here. Diva Desi, have you done any internal modeling of the mines or houses? That's a question from Craig.
I love that question. That is something I'm currently working on. I've taken the information. I've collected the data. I have a couple of sites that I've done that. The only one that I've actually published so far was that 360 model from the Hotel California. But what I've done now is collected data to do an interior and doing the same thing with Pix4D, just capturing all the image from inside. And so the only one that I have so far would be that 360 model. And so is that a direction that you're going, Craig? Is that something that you're working on as well?
Craig doesn't have a voice, so he's probably going to type here.
Typing away.
So Okay, Sharon and I have some questions for you too. Sharon says, hi Kim, would it be appropriate to share an event we're hosting in Canada on drones? So we're all about sharing here. So go for it, Sharon.
Okay, awesome. I'll put it in the chat. We have a I don't want to take over this at all because this is just awesome, Desi. But we have an event coming up in June, and there's some sessions on integrating drones into the daily operations at an airport here, and it's the first of its kind in the world. So it's really interesting, and some pilot recurrent training. So I'll leave the link in the chat, and just appreciate being able to be here. Thank you.
Brilliant. And
Right,
Sharon, we haven't met you before, and I'm not sure we've seen you on this platform before. What do you do? What's your role?
For sure. I've attended another event, not the Fireside Chat, but over on my side of the pond here in Canada, I'm with the Canadian Owners and Pilots Association. We do represent drone pilots here in Canada as well, and I'm the Director of National Programming. So what's interesting about our program in particular is we're trying to amplify the work of groups like this, make connections where we can. There's already excellent work that's happening, so where we can support. We have insurance programs that have worldwide coverage as well, and I know that's a tricky scenario for anyone who's flying commercially, but mostly recreationally, as there's always some ceilings of the kind of insurance that you need to fly. So if there's any opportunity that we can support these kinds of events, I'm here for it. I will. This is my second one, and the energy is always like up here. So wherever we can be, we'll be here.
Brilliant.
Hey, Kim, I also want to
imagine Women and Drones Canada. Let's go, people.
Honestly,
like it.
Yeah. Hey, Kim, I just want to mention that Sharon has reached out to me, and they've been very generous. They're offering us a discount for any of our members that want to attend her event later this month. And I'll put it in the chat here in a few minutes. So thanks again, Sharon, for offering that.
Oh, brilliant. So we got Sharon and Sharon. This is fabulous. I love these connections we make on this platform. Hi, Sharon. And thanks, Sharon. Thanks for sharing. That's brilliant. So I just wanted to go back to Craig quickly. Craig says, I am interested in what the inside may have looked like all those years ago. Outside is beautiful. I love the inner beauty also. That's so amazing. Thanks for the interaction, you guys. So Desi, I just love the fact that you've shared this, and the fact that you can combine your passion and your husband's passion and work. And so my question is, from a safety perspective, you said that you always check, what the safety concerns and regulations may be, but who owns these structures, and what land is that usually on? And do you face issues when you arrive there and go, hey, I'm just going to fly over this piece of land and gather the information? How does that work?
So that's a fantastic question. And so that's where pre-flight planning comes into play. There is a lot of the locations that are, it's BLM, which is federal land. And so there's a lot of locations where we can go fly, but by looking at the actual map, it could be beyond a boundary that maybe we can only ride so far, and then we have to hike it the rest. Some off-road vehicles aren't allowed to be in certain areas. There may be a MOA, and so I have to be concerned with military operations. I was one time, just a side note, I was actually camping in an area that, as far as the lines go in, the outline for air maps and all that, I'm fine. I was perfectly okay, but there was still a lot of military activity. And so being a cautious pilot, we did not fly. Even though we were not in a military area, it was still close enough that we could still see a lot of military activity. So a lot of that is stuff that you want to be prepared for ahead of time. There's also areas that may require a permit. So you would have to go to the BLM and apply for a film permit and enable us to go and fly in the certain areas. As far as, just on a side note, I have insurance on my drones as well. And so I like to make sure just the whole business side of things are still into place. And so I'm not just going out and flying willy-nilly, because I do know that safety side. And so we put all the pre-flight planning into place prior to getting there. And I put on hiking boots sometimes.
Brilliant, brilliant. So now what about this data? So you said you are part of some of these groups that are concerned with, keeping and maintaining some of these, or restoring some of these structures, etc. Is there some official body that is tasked with these things, these activities, to try and restore some of the, because it's a big part of your history, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, and there are, and so there's like GIS organizations, there's archaeology, there's preserving history. There's a whole lot of organizations that are developed, and it's based traditionally in that particular state. So California has their own body of people that we would go to, and then Arizona has a different body of people that we would go to. And so I've tried to just follow along with the various communities, and even real estate associations. I was unfamiliar with that. I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And so depending on where it is, I find that a lot of the old abandoned mining areas aren't as governed as there are some of the more glamorous places. There's a lot of glamorous history. And so they tend to focus on those more than, oh, there's decaying buildings over here from an old mining camp. One of them that we actually went out to, which is incredible. See, I went down a rabbit hole again, is
love it.
The patent training facility. And so we went out into the desert, and the whole Midland training facility was out in this one desert area. And it's like, wow, it's just so neat. And yet there's hardly any remains of it. But we knew it was there. It was like, it's right here. It's right where we are. And so it's exciting to me to be able to preserve that.
Amazing. So Desi, though, do these organizations, wherever they are, in whatever state and whatever form, do they rely on voluntary activity? So anything that you do is in your personal time, personal capacity, and you go, hey, this is my passion and this is what I've done for you.
Yes, that right on the mark right there. A lot of it is volunteer. And so they look for the people to go in and help out. A lot of people just take it upon themselves to restore some of the things. Some of the locations are not actually historical. And so it's just a part of history that needs to be remembered. Such as the Hotel California, that's not like a historical part, but for those that actually go to that area, they know it's there. And so to preserve that, I think it's super cool that they've actually taken it upon themselves to want to make it nice again. And so again, it's all volunteer in that respect. Yeah,
that is just brilliant. And if you weren't a drone diva, you would have probably still gone to those areas, right? Through the fact that you're outdoorsy and your husband's doing what he's doing. It just so happens that you do have the technology and you have the knowledge, and so you can do that, which is just fabulous. I love it.
Yes. drones are a tool. No matter what you want to do, drones are a tool. And so I feel, and it's kind of good that my husband and I, we have this in common. We like to go out there. We like to do the gold mining and all that. And now we can utilize modern technology in a positive way. You know, the classic drones were good. Well, we get to use them in a positive way. And so I look for opportunities to be able to share it more. I hope to have different organizations that may want to utilize this as a tool. I, of course, being a drone person, I see huge value in it. And, you know, it's one thing to get an aerial shot of something, but it's another to actually do that 3D model and be able to get in there and circle around it and really identify the components of the building. And so I hope to see it being done more. I hope to be able to do it more.
Honestly, you've opened my eyes, because we do 3D modeling all the time for our insurance work. And that's really around having a digital twin, which an underwriter in another country can look at and go, I now have an overview and a real idea of what I'm insuring. But I never thought of preserving something that is so actively degrading because it's so old and, you know, porous and weather exposed. So I thank you. And I really never even thought about that. And, you know, just for anyone here who hasn't done 3D modeling, it's not that easy. You have to get your grid lines right. You have to do those double grids, and you have to make sure you get those orbital flights right, because otherwise there's missing information, right? And then you have that kind of, what do they call it, tearing or whatever. So the technology, the system, the software helps you build it, but you still have to gather the right data so that it can overlap and what have you. So yeah,
And
it's not that easy. So Desi's done a great job.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, and then you want to do that point cloud cleanup because of that melting, and try to clean it up and make it presentable for people. Yeah, and so
Absolutely.
really enjoy the experience of being there. Do you feel like you went mining today?
100%. Has anyone got a question or a comment for Desi?
Anybody feel like they were out there digging in the trenches of the mining operations?
I did for sure.
So
anyone else?
Good morning, Desi. This is Sam.
Hey. Hi, Sam.
Hey, I'm so glad I caught this presentation, because I was going to call you and ask for a debriefing for everything that you do. Because Desi and I, we're neighbors. We're only 2 hours away, but since we're in the same state, we're considered neighbor, right?
Yeah.
So I want to find out, your program is for girls. So
Yes.
when the young men, their brothers want to get involved, how do you mitigate that? You tell them you refer them to another program, or how does that work?
That isn't actually, I don't do the recruiting for the program. It's presented as a opportunity for young female. And so I'm sure EIS has alternative methods for programs like that. This one is designed specifically for the young females, because, and this is a good shout out for women in drones, because it doesn't matter what age we are, it gives us a safe environment. It gives us a place where we all can connect with each other and highlight what everybody's doing. And there's so many men that I realize that they see the value that women can bring to the industry, but when the girls are young, they feel that they have that fear, they have that intimidation, they feel like, well, this is a boys' sport, and they don't realize that they have so much tremendous value and they bring so much to the table. They don't realize that they can become engineers or GIS specialists or archaeologists, and they can do so much and have a career in aviation. They don't even realize it until the doors are opened up for them. And so they tend to hang back. And so this gives them a safe environment to be in, which is true with Women in Drones, giving us all a shout out because the women have a powerful place in this community. Yeah.
I agree. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Samantha. Good to see you again. And may I also just shout out to Samantha, who has just passed part 107 on Friday. Well
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
And now all these things that Desi is mentioning and other people are mentioning on the call, when she said MOA, I understand all of that stuff.
Brilliant, right?
It was such a great experience, ladies. Because in the beginning, when I first joined Women in Drones, I just was like, oh, I'm just going to be a member, and I'm just going to listen to all this wonderful talk. But as I got engaged, I decided to take the test because I wanted to understand. So I am happy that I passed, and the place that I took it at was at a woman's own helicopter place here locally in Van Nuys, California. So I, like Desi, I look forward to being an educator, and I don't know the rest yet, but as of now, I want to be an educator and just spread the word and like keep it safe so that, women and girls know that, we can play too with these things.
You go, girl. You go, girl. I love it. Well done. I'm sure we're going to hear a lot more about what you are doing. Let me just read some of these comments quickly. I'm aware of time. So if anyone else has another question, just raise your hand or just go ahead. Kele says, just very exciting. Really feel like I went mining and came back with a piece of gold. And Sharon says, dang, I missed some real gold, came a little too late. Carolyn, thanks for your comment on Kelly, say good creative comment. Agatha says, wow, this is a good presentation. I think, Desi, you've really taken us on a journey. And I think that's probably what you do with your presentation. But I really felt that, and I've learned something. So it's just fantastic. I think, Desi, do you have any closing comments?
My comment would be, you're in a really good place. Thank you for being here. And I encourage you to, if you're not already, become a Women in Drones member. There's so much value in it. There's so much to offer. And I highly recommend just reaching out. You can check out the website. We can post the website. And just check it out. I think that would be my big tip. Become a member because there's so much to offer.
Thank you for that shout out. And I want to thank you, Desi, for sharing your knowledge and sharing your journey and your hobby. I think quite a lot of us have kind of combined hobby and work, and it just really shows when you hear how passionate your presentations are. As you said, join as a member. I also wanted to shout out to Women in Drones and the platform and what that's doing to some of our women in Africa. And we actually have Mafu on here, who was nominated as a semi-finalist for Women to Watch. And we had some LinkedIn activity on that. And what we really love is that Mafu said, whether I win or not, this is a win anyway, because it's just inspired her to do the work she's doing and continue doing that. So well done again, Mafu. We are so behind you and so proud of you.
Thank you so much. On that, our computer lab is almost done. I'll share some pictures with you for that nomination. I think will be done by the end of August.
Amazing. Brilliant. And that's what we love about this platform. We can share stories and we can share our challenges, and we've cried on here. We laugh mostly, tears of joy, obviously, and sharing stories. So thank you so much, Desi. Thank you to everyone who joined.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's always good having you, and specifically today. to hear your story. Sharon, thank you for being on here. Is there anything you want to say just in closing? Sharon Rosmark, yeah.
Yeah, we have
Our
two.
esteemed leader.
I thought you meant the other Sharon. No problem. Thank you again, Desi. You're awesome. It's good to see you on this side of the screen, presenting rather than facilitating. So nice job. And I too felt like I was in one of those mines digging for gold. So thank you. In fact, I've got that on my bucket list of something to do, is to come out there and fly drones with you and go out to one of those mines. I want to personally experience that. And also, thank you to Sharon Chung from Canada. She reached out. I put information in the chat. So if anybody wants to sign up for the session, please do. We'll include it in our newsletter also. So if you're not on our newsletter, you'll sign up for that and you'll receive information. And we want to see you all next week, as well as next Tuesday, because Desi will be back on hosting Women in Drones Coffee Connect with another speaker. So thank you. And thanks again to everybody for coming out. And Sharon Chung, we want to sign you up to come on here and speak so you can talk about your organization. So get ready.
Yes.
There you go. Amazing. Very good. Thank you so much, everybody. And we shall see you same time next week, Thursday, for our drone date. For anyone who hasn't been on this before, this is our weekly drone date. So